Hi, I'm Roger Stevens, and welcome to A Famous Poet, a Poem, and a Workshop. This is the third in a series of videos that I've made for National Poetry Day in 2021. The subject of today's video is Brian Moses. Now, I met Brian about 25 years ago. I know, a long time ago. He was a poet and he came into my school. I was a teacher. He came to my class and he ran a workshop and it was fantastic. And we all wrote poems. And then he did a performance for the whole school, which was absolutely brilliant. It had percussion, it had lots of joining in. It was fantastic. And I thought, God, I'd like to do that. I'd written a couple of children's books at that stage, and I'd written lots and lots of poetry. I've written poetry since I was a child, but I'd never thought about writing poetry for children. I don't know why, it just hadn't crossed my mind. So I thought, well, I'm going to have a go at that. And I sent Brian one of my poems, and he published it in an anthology. Brilliant. And he got me started. And since then, we've become good friends, and we've written a few books together. So Brian Moses, he writes all sorts of poems. He writes funny poems like An Alien Stole My Underpants. Yes. And he writes poems for joining in, such as Walking with My Iguana. And there are lots of videos of him doing that. If you want to search one of them out, he accompanies the poem with a drum to get the sort of beat going with it. And he's written lots of serious poems too, and he writes all sorts of poems. He compiles anthologies. Absolutely brilliant poet. You might like to check out Lost Magic, the very best of Brian Moses, which has got a collection of all his best poems in it. As I say, all sorts of poems. So we're going to start with one of Brian's poems, actually a poem written by his dog Honey. So let's have a look at that, shall we? Here we go.
Little save your party tricks for a minute.
If you listen to me, then you'd know that when I bark, it's, how dare you leave me out here, bark? Let me in, I beg you, bark. The last time my tail wags for you, bark. And after everything I've done too, bark. Who do you think you are, bark? Leaving me here in the dark, bark. Way overdue for a walk, bark. Let's go and run in the park, bark. The time you got off the settee, bark, and paid more attention to me, bark. Where it's gone is a mystery, bark. I bet it's rolled under the furniture, bark. Come on, let's go, bark. A fine stick and throw, bark. A roll on the mat, bark. A warning to cats, bark. A joyful and playful zippity-doo, bark. A time you learnt dog language, bark. Then you humans might know exactly what I mean.
We're going to write a very similar poem. We're going to imagine that we are an animal, a pet, and we are writing a poem. Okay. Now you will need paper and a pen or a pencil to do this, or a notebook. I've got my notebook. I take my notebook everywhere I go because you never know when you're going to hear something, see something. You can jot it down in your notebook. I bet Brian had his notebook with him when he was walking along the beach one day and he saw somebody actually walking his iguana on a lead, because I happen to know that poem is based on a real event. Brian did see somebody walking his iguana. I bet he had his notebook with him, and I bet he thought, hey, wow, what a great idea for a poem. I'm going to write that in my notebook. That is my dog, Jasper. Coughing. So, here we go. Now, you need a paper and pencil, and you need or a notebook. So if you want to just pause the video now, just for while you get yourself together and get all your bits and pieces together, and then we get started. Okay, here we go. Now, the first thing you've got to do is to think about the animal that is going to be telling the poem, because we're writing this in the first person, as though the animal really was telling you a story or telling you something about itself. So it's in the first person, and you need a pet to start off. I'm going to go for a dog, so I'm just going to write dog on my bit of paper. I'm going to write it. Dog. I'm going to do a dog. In fact, my dog's called Jasper. There he is, my dog Jasper. So I've just kind of written that down. And we're just writing in rough, in sort of first draft. So it doesn't have to be neat and tidy. This isn't the actual poem, okay? These are just notes for the poem. We're going to use these notes to write our poem afterwards. So don't worry about it being neat and tidy, or about spelling. Don't worry about spellings. It doesn't matter about spellings. You can guess the spellings if you don't know how to spell something. The important thing is to get the stuff from your head, get your ideas from your head down onto the bit of paper as soon as you can. If you haven't got a pet of your own, well, maybe your neighbour's got one, or your granny's got one, or you could just make one up. Okay, so it can be about your dog, about your cat, your hamster, your goldfish, your pet snake, anything you like. So I'm going for dog. I've written dog down here. Now the whole poem, what you have to do for your poem is to make a list. Think of all the things that your animal really likes and likes to do. That's all you've got to do. The more things you can write down, the better. So see if you can write, I don't know, 7 or 8 things down, things that your animal likes, and some things that your animal doesn't like. So my dog likes going for walks. He likes chasing a ball. He likes barking. He likes barking at the delivery. He likes barking at delivery people. And what doesn't he like? He doesn't like going to the vets very much. He likes rolling in fox poo. Why dogs do that? Or he likes running into brambles. He's a terrier, so just loves going and hiding in brambles. So basically, just write a list. Write it down as quickly as you can. As I say, don't worry about spelling, so write some things down. Now, if you want to pause the video here just for 2 or 3 minutes while you write your list, that might be a good idea. But don't spend too long. Maximum 5 minutes. In fact, I would say probably spend 3 minutes to write your list. Okay. So I've written a list. I've written some things down here. Here's my list here. There, and look, I've written it, like I say, it's all in rough. I've written down going for a walk, barking at cats, eating food, sitting on the sofa, watching the clouds, barking at the delivery man, having my tummy tickled, chasing a ball. So that's your basic list, okay? And that is your poem. Now, you imagine the dog saying those things, you have a poem. It could go like this. Hi, I'm Jasper. I am a dog. I love going for a walk. I love eating food. I love sitting on the sofa, watching the clouds, barking at the delivery man, having my tummy tickled, but I hate going to the vets. I am a dog. My name is Jasper. You could begin and end, couldn't you, with I am a dog, I am a cat, my name is. Okay? Now, in itself, that's probably a little bit boring. So before you write your poem, you need to do a little bit more work on it. So you need to fill out maybe some of these things. You can cross things out, actually. Some of them might be a bit on the boring side. Eating food, that's a bit kind of boring. I mean, most animals like eating food. Or you might, if your dog eats or your cat eats something unusual. I like eating my food on top of the fridge. We have my mother-in-law has a cat, and the cat has his food up on top of the fridge, out of the way of the dog. That's a bit, and that might be quite interesting. Watching the clouds and thinking, barking at the postman. Expand on these a little bit. Lying in wait for the postman. You could write a whole poem about lying in wait. I love to lie in wait for the postman. I'm setting a little trap when the postman walks through the garden gate. I'll be at him. Ruff, 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 ruff. I don't know. Having my chasing a ball I've got here. Well, our last dog, Judy, used to love chasing balls. In fact, we couldn't take her through the park because if there was a football game going on, she'd chase the ball and she would pounce on the ball and she would burst the ball. And then we'd have lots of angry people chasing us. Oh, no, we want a new ball. Your dog's broke. Anyway, so you can cross some of these out if they're not very good. You can add more things in. You can expand on them just to make it a little bit more interesting. And then maybe you could change the order. Maybe you need to think of a really good thing to go first, and then a really brilliant, maybe your best line could go at the end. You could write about an imaginary animal. Imagine you had a dragon for a pet, or imagine you had a unicorn for a pet. Hi, my name is Rainbow. I am a unicorn. I love to do. Okay. Once you get into it, it's great fun. You're writing it as though you were an animal or a pet. Okay. So good luck with your poem. Brian and I thought that idea of a pet writing a poem was so good. We actually wrote a whole book together. Here's our book. It's called The Waggiest Tales. And every poem in this book is written by a dog. Every poem. And Brian wrote about half the poems and I wrote the other half of the poems. Here it is, The Waggiest Tales. It's a lovely way to write a poem. So good luck with your poem. Brian Moses also has a fantastic blog with loads and loads of ideas for writing poems and lots of poems. So check out his blog as well. And I'll put the link for his blog here at the end. So I hope you enjoyed that. I enjoyed it. And you could send me your poems to the Poetry Zone, or maybe just share your poem with the class, or share your poem with your pet. You could say, hey, do you know what? You wrote a poem today. I did what? Yeah. Anyway, have fun. It's all about having fun. Okay. Hope you enjoyed that. And I'll see you again very soon. Bye-bye.